I'm going to keep this straightforward because the decision to buy a vaccine-grade refrigerator isn't something you want to guess on. If you're on the fence about whether the Cu.Ft 80A height vaccine refrigerator is the right fit for your practice, this review will walk through the everyday realities of using a unit like this, the hidden trade-offs that often surface after the box is opened, and the kind of value you actually get for the price. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the problem most buyers face. You need a fridge that meets the strict temperature range required for vaccines, but you also have to fit it into a space that's already cramped, and you want it to be accessible for staff of all abilities. The 80A height claim means the top shelf sits low enough for a wheelchair user to reach without stretching, which is a real advantage in community health centers where compliance with accessibility standards is non-negotiable. At 6 cubic feet, the interior is big enough for a couple of hundred vials, a few syringes, and the occasional temperature log sheet, yet it isn't so large that it becomes a power hog in a small office. For a clinic that runs a few dozen appointments a day, that volume typically covers the inventory without forcing you to keep excess stock that could expire. From a practical standpoint, the unit's layout is fairly intuitive. The door opens wide enough that you can pull a tray of vials straight out without having to juggle the door handle, which saves a few seconds per draw, something you notice when you're on a tight schedule during a flu shot clinic. The internal shelving is adjustable, so you can stack larger containers on the bottom and keep the most frequently used vials at eye level. Users who have reported on similar AccuCold models say the temperature stays steady once the compressor cycles, so you're not constantly watching a digital readout to catch a dip. That stability matters because even a brief swing below +2°C can compromise a batch of vaccines, and the peace of mind that comes from a fridge that holds steady is worth the modest extra cost over a standard medical fridge. The downsides become clearer once you compare the 6 Cu.Ft size to the actual demand of a busy immunization program. If you run a high-throughput hospital ward or a large public health campaign, you'll quickly outgrow the shelf space, meaning you'd have to purchase a second unit or resort to a larger, more expensive model. Another practical concern is that the product page provides very few technical specifications, no explicit temperature range, no data logging capability, and no clear indication of energy consumption. That lack of detail makes it harder to verify compliance with local health department requirements before you pull the plug. The average rating of 3.3 stars from only 2 reviewers hints that at least a couple of owners ran into issues, perhaps with the thermostat's accuracy or the door seal's long-term durability. Those are the kinds of problems you discover only after the warranty period begins, and they can turn a seemingly good enough purchase into a maintenance headache. So who should walk away with this refrigerator, and who should keep looking? If you're a small family practice, a rural clinic, a school-based health office, or a mobile vaccination unit that needs an ADA-compliant, modest-capacity fridge that won't dominate the electrical load, this model checks a lot of boxes. Its size, accessibility, and straightforward interior design align well with environments where you store a limited but critical inventory and where staff turnover means you need something that's easy to use without extensive training. On the other hand, if you manage a regional distribution center, a large hospital, or a research lab that requires precise temperature logging, remote alerts, or a higher capacity to avoid frequent restocking trips, you'd be better served by a unit that explicitly lists those features and comes with a stronger track record in user reviews. Bottom line, the AccuCold 6 Cu.Ft 80A height vaccine refrigerator can be a solid, sensible choice for the right scale of operation, especially when accessibility and a compact footprint are top priorities. It isn't a silver bullet for high-volume vaccine storage, and the sparse technical documentation means you'll need to do a bit of homework before you commit. If those trade-offs line up with your needs, you'll likely find the unit performs as advertised and saves you the hassle of retrofitting a larger fridge into a tight space.